I've talked a bit in the past about Carlo Acutis, and I think he's an interesting character, an Italian teenager who died of leukemia, a very peculiar form of leukemia in 2006, and he's become a significant figure in the Catholic Church because of his faith, his devotion to the Eucharist, his adept use of technology. And he was beatified by the Catholic Church on October the 10th, 2020, and his life and virtues seem to inspire many, particularly the youth, and people are carrying his photo, his card in their pockets. He's a contemporary example of holiness, taking over perhaps from Padre Pio as the most immediate alternative. Padre Pio, this man who had the stigmata, the marks of Christ on his hands, and I don't know whether it was on his feet as well, but and there were photographs. That's the point. Padre Pio was one of those people who had entered modern life, and Carlo Acutis has done so even more immediately, demonstrating sanctity, sainthood, the intermediary between us and the divine, the exemplary, the best of what we can be. This identification process is now something that is attainable. It's demonstrably attainable for young people, for older people. His life, therefore, counters the narrative that faith is outdated or irrelevant in today's world. And his example, therefore, encourages young Catholics, particularly, to live out their faith with passion, dedication on the keyboard. This 15-year-old boy, Carlo, had a profound love for the Eucharist, for communion, referring to it as his highway to heaven, and his devotion highlights the importance of the Mass, the Eucharist, in Catholic spirituality, and encourages a deeper reverence for continual communion. And he created, for example, an online exhibition in Eucharistic miracles, showcasing his dedication to the sacrament and his skills to share this central aspect of the Catholic tradition with a broader audience. His adept use of technology to evangelize, because evangelizing, spreading the tradition, spreading the words, serves as a model for the church in the digital age. He recognized the potential of the internet as a tool for communication, for the gospel, making significant contributions through his website, through his digital projects, and his life underscores the value of modern technology, and to be used responsibly, to be used positively, to promote spiritual growth, to promote reciprocity and community. And his beatification, with this sort of casual costume, with the volleyball and stuff, makes sainthood appear accessible, relatable to modern millennials. And his love for soccer, for video games, for computers, shows how ordinary activities can be raised, can be deified, can be sanctified. And his beatification emphasizes that holiness is not restricted to a particular lifestyle or a particular era, but is a universal call. And in the face of terrible illness, and even if he did come from a wealthy family, which he did, as did St. Francis, as Evelyn Waugh said quite famously, even the rich have souls. He is, Carlo Acutis is the Saint 2.0. He's the, what is it, God's influencer. And his compassionate nature, his picking up stray animals, his collecting rubbish along the seabed, his willingness to help others, his joyful disposition, all of these things serve as a reminder of the transformative power of belief, whether that is belief in Catholicism, belief in Islam, belief in Orthodoxy, belief in Judaism, belief in yourself. It's the idea of inspiration. Even if you believe in yourself, it's this projected image of what you could be, not what you are. And that idea that you are aspiring to be better. Aspiration and inspiration. Inspiration is all about breathing in, to inspiro, to breathe in. It's a Latin word which tells us something about the value of communication, about the value of listening to others, because you can't do it on your own. And that probably, I think, is another reason why the Catholic interest in constantly updating the canon of saints who are venerated and held up as examples is such a positive part of the tradition. His beatification, Carlo's beatification, is about reinvigorating Catholicism at a time of doubt and at a crossroads in the development of the faith, and particularly in the desperation, really, for the faith to invent itself for the youth, providing a modern role model, embracing both faith and contemporary life. And he sanitizes. Carlo sanitizes Catholicism. He rehabilitates a church that can seem distant, desperate, with scary rituals. He makes religion accessible. He's the first step towards a direct modern Christianity. And his story so far has been widely shared on social media, in books and documentaries, expanding his influence, inspiring many, both in Catholicism and beyond, to explore and renew their faith, and to see, I think, also the internet and social media as a tool for good. And it's not simply about what the internet is promoting. It's not simply about the content of the internet. It's about the idea of the internet as a form of communication, as a way of reaching out and building communities beyond our own lives. It's about reciprocity, and that is something which goes beyond any one particular faith, any one particular belief. Carlo Acutis' life and beatification and canonization, which is imminent, are a powerful testimony to how modernity and faith can harmoniously coexist, because faith is the beacon of life. It's the direction we have, whether this is faith in a particular religious belief, or whether it's faith in yourself, or whether it's faith in your mission to produce, to do things, to leave behind a memory, to leave behind something of value, and that's in the end what is of value is not a house or a stash of money. It's a memory. It's a concept. We are survived by our concepts, and true happiness and fulfillment comes from service to others. And Carlo Acutis' legacy will draw people, especially young Catholics, closer to each other and closer to the central tenets which I hope are continue to be expressed in Catholicism and in the great world religions, but they should also permeate into modern secular life, into our films, into our into our communication on social media and YouTube and beyond, because simply communicating, simply radiating positivity, and failing is itself the message of Carlos Acutis. It's a good message.